Right, we've popped down to Wacky Racers because, well, I had to run an errand here anyway.
Yeah, he bought me an axle.
Yeah. But as I was heading down here, it occurred to me that Wacky and the famous Bluebell behind us, it's been 10 years since they went out and did Hot Rod Drag Week in 2012.
Yeah.
So, blimey, a whole 10 years, where's that gone?
Don't know.
And people are still talking about it.
Yeah, well, the plan was try and do it every 5 years, but...
How's that working for you?
Shipping costs have just gone beyond stupid now.
Oh, it's crazy. I mean, even any parts now, never mind a whole van.
Yeah, you'd be looking, I think, I did nose and to see what it was, and I think you'd be looking at probably about 13 grand now, just to put it one way.
One way?
One way, yeah.
Stoner crow.
Yeah. It's gone insane. You know, that's probably 7 times what it cost me when I did it back in 2012. Yeah, it depends where you're shipping, like, because we shipped into Galveston, Texas.
Yeah.
That's a lot cheaper than if you ship, like, when it came back from California.
Yeah.
Because it's literally got to come all the way around the bottom of America. That's a lot more expensive.
Yeah,
and then the paperwork to get it in and out is, you know, that's serious money, but, you know.
So, yeah, that's going to put the kibosh on that, because, yeah, I mean, 13 grand just for shipping, that's insanity. But, I mean...
Yeah, to be honest, you'd be better, you know, if you want to do it, it'd be buy a car out there, do the event, and then probably ship the car home, or just buy a car, do the event, and then sell it.
Sell it on.
You know, even if you take a couple of grand loss, it's still cheaper than trying to send your own car and do it. Yeah, it's fun doing it with something foreign to them, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, but it's, you know, it's just the cost of doing it now. I think it's, you know, because it's dead money. You know, it's,
you're never going to see it back.
No.
So, I mean, what prompted you to think, right, here's a week of really bloody grueling hard work competition, thousands of miles away. I'm going to go and do that.
It probably stemmed back to the early days of going out for the World Street Nationals at Florida, and I used to go there, and I always said I wanted to try and race in America, and the plan was always to go and try and race a Forenza at the Street Nationals, even though it would have been nowhere quick enough, but just having a matte black Vauxhall Forenza out there would have stood out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
I got to the point where I think the NSRA or whatever were doing a show to Tampa.
Yeah.
And I tried to tag along on that, and then when they found out what car it was, they didn't want it to go, so that didn't happen. And that was always in my head. And then I'd always followed Hot Rod. I've read Hot Rod magazine since I was, I don't know, 13 or something like that, so a long while. Yeah, probably getting on nearly for 40 years now, I suppose. And I'd always had it and read it and followed it, and I'm into my muscle cars, even though I've got a 4-banger, but yeah, it's got 67 Camaro hidden away and stuff, but yeah. But now that was it. I just wanted to probably do something and take a car out, and then I've been following Drag Week for quite a bit, and it looked interesting, and I was going to do a hire car, get a hire car, go and get Camaro or something like that. Take it down the road, get some hoosies put on or some sort of tyres on it, and basically race the hire car. And the year I was looking at doing it, they changed the rules because they change the rules about every 2 or 3 years. They'll re-look at the rules to either to get the classes better or people cheating or whatever's gone on to
close
keep
a loophole,
it.
sort of thing.
And they closed the loophole because it was so many people were entering in like normal road going cars, and they wanted more race related cars.
Right.
They stopped you having hire cars. So that put the kibosh on it straight away.
Right.
And then I was at the Autosport show, I think the year before in the February. And I was talking to my friend from ARP who's helped me for years, and I get on well with. And he said, well, why do you bring Bluebell? And it's sort of, the thought sort of got in my head.
Oh, so it's his fault then?
Yeah, so basically, yeah. It might have been just a conversation. I can't remember now. It might have been a conversation. Possibly, it might have been a conversation in the November or something on the phone. I can't remember exactly. It was Chris's fault anyway at ARP, so you can blame him.
And you know, Chris is a expat Brit who works way up in California, isn't he?
Yeah. So I'm say Chris came up with the idea, and I sort of thought, yeah, I can do that, not realising what it was going to cost and all the hassle it was going to be.
Yeah.
I think I asked Deb at New Year. I think I'd probably had a couple of drinks as well. I can't remember, so I think it might have, it was one of them. It was a bit of a mad idea, but for some reason she agreed to it, so that was it. Yeah. And once I say I'm going to try and do something, I don't like going back on my word. So
on the other hand, you kept it to yourself, this, didn't you? It was still a secret until you actually did it.
To be honest, it's so complicated to do with the shipping, to do with like doing the paperwork with the Americans and doing that is so hard. Just trying to find insurance. I think I rang insurance companies in America. Even at the time I was insured with Aon, which is an American insurance company, to get insurance in America, because I could get insurance to drive to Russia. I could go like over there and I could get to like South Africa on my insurance.
Yes.
But I couldn't get to America on it.
Yeah.
It was quite, I could drive to Egypt on my insurance, not a problem. But because I'd got to go across that bit of water, I couldn't get insured in America. Right. So then basically ring up the insurance companies, and every night just ring up half a dozen insurance companies, get told now, ask them if they could think of anybody else, and I did all your normal, sort of the standard ones you have, and then I was just going through numbers, and I'd looked at what some of the drag people had done from Australia who they were with, spoke to them, they didn't want to know for some reason. Oh. Problem was they were going with things like Dodge Chargers and stuff like that, which were like, they knew what it was. It was a Australian car, but it was an American car.
Yeah.
But when I said what I'd got, nobody wanted it. Nobody wanted it. It don't compute. So that was it.
I'm with you.
So, but so it was one of them. It was just keep going until finally I got an insurance company that agreed to do it. I'd got to insure it for 3 months. But to be honest, it wasn't bad. It was $450 for 3 months or something like that.
For an unknown quantity, that's...
Yeah, that was third party only. No fire and theft and uninsured driver risk. That was it. So if anything happened to Bluebell, it was like, it is what it is. Yeah. But
Wow. And so eventually you did manage to get it out there and all street legal and everything. And it's hard work, isn't it, Drag Week? It's not, because I mean, it was kind of the flagship of the drag and drive event. Which,
basically.
Did that really exist before Drag Week came along?
Not really. They'd had a couple of like the predecessors to Drag Week. Yeah. Which sort of was a similar event, like Fastest Streetcar was what they originally started with, and then that became Drag Week. But I'd sort of sit and reading it in the magazines and looking at it, and because I was trying to stay off the radar, because I didn't want people knowing I was going, and even like the Yank side of it, I didn't want people going. I was sort of just reading bits on the forums, what I could get on, and just reading. And it just seemed to me like, you sort of got in, you did your races, you got in your car, you drove to the hotel, you stood outside with all your mates, you chatted, took Mickey, like, or whatever word you want to use, and then you went to bed, then you got up next day and did the same thing again, and just good way of meeting people and fun racing, if you know what I mean. But
and sounds dead chilled.
yeah, dead easy. Yeah. And then I finally got there, and I thought we'd been doing some tuning, me and James, before we went away, and I knew the index class I'd run was it was like a 1080 index, where at the time I think the van was running 11.7 off nitrous, and it had been 11.1 on nitrous. And we went to Avon Park, but it was that year when every weekend was raining whenever the racing was on, and we'd gone to like every meeting we could at the pod everywhere, and everything was raining off, or it just wasn't going right. And it was literally raining every meeting, I think. And we managed to get 2 or 3 runs at Avon Park, and the van, we put rubbish fuel in. James had messed around with the timing to make it a bit safer, and I'd literally bought fuel from the garage down the road, which was like, it hadn't even got a name on it, to try and get as close to we could to like rubbish fuel because I knew there was a fuel issue with people breaking down. And the van actually run 0.2 quicker off nitrous than it had ever run.
Wow.
And run 11.5. We didn't get time to do a nitrous run because of the rain came again. But I'm working on that. I thought, right, well, it's gone 11.5, it's done 11.1, so potentially it's 0.2 quicker off the nitrous now. So with the nitrous in, if it runs the same amount again, that puts it 10.9.
Yeah.
So I thought, that's right on the index for like a 1080 index. I thought,
Yeah.
a little bit quicker, it might actually be too quick, but I thought, that'll work. So that was what I planned on. And then I got there on the first day, and my first pass we made on the Sunday afternoon was 15.3, and it never run so bad in its life. And then James turned around to me and went, "Where's the tune gone?" And I went, "What do you mean?" He says, "This has never been tuned." And I went, "We just spent months tuning it." And he went, "Nah, got no tuning, it's gone." And him and Andy, who was helping as well, because you're only allowed help before the event, but once drag week starts, nobody can touch the vehicle.
That's
so
it, yeah.
So basically, Sunday was the only chance we had to tune the van, and they worked out that it was 110 degrees. The hottest temperature we'd ever had was 87 degrees. We were 3,000 foot above sea level, where anywhere in the UK you're 1,000 foot and lower.
Yeah.
And then also this nice E10 fuel that we've all crying about now. You're either running that in certain states, or you're actually on E15, which is even worse. So
even worse for your tuning.
Yeah, even worse for your tuning, and also you need a load more of it. So my 1000cc injectors went from being quite safe on fuel to absolutely flat out running 99% duty cycle, which anybody who knows about fuel injection, you want to be like mid 80s really.
Yeah,
and we had to put fuel pressure in it to get it to run. It was literally on the ragged edge. So, and then we ended up then, Deb went home, Deb went back to the hotel with heat stroke because it was that hot. Like I said, it was 110 degrees and we were out in the sun all day because it's a drag strip. There's a bit of a stand, the basic track's a bit more like Avon Park, I suppose, if you want to put it that way. So they won't let you stand underneath them neither because of people dropping beer bottles on your head. So, you've got no shade. So Deb got picked up by somebody in a Corvette and he took her back to the hotel. And then me and James went out on the road and, we were doing 110 mile an hour passes down the freeway with the box in the back, which was 615, nearly 700. Yeah, my little toolbox. Yeah, the 650 kilo box that was in the back of the van.
Which had like spare engine blocks and such in it.
Yeah, blocks, crank, basically everything, because you can't go into Pet Boys and ask for like a HIV, a plug lead or anything. You got no chance. So yeah, and we were doing runs up and down the freeway outside the hotel with the Americans just looking at us, thinking, we're going to get arrested any minute. And literally, I was using all 3 lanes of the highway to keep it in a straight line because I actually run a dirt track tyre, which is only a 2-ply, like a Hoosier quick time. And we got 50 PSI in that, because like I said, the van was close to nearly 2 ton when it was fully loaded, with all the stuff in. And me and James were trying to do like 100 mile an hour plus passes in 3rd gear up and down the freeway. And we were doing this for about 4 hours. So yeah, if I'd have got caught, I think I'd have had a bit of a stretch.
Yes.
Yeah, we might have had a crowd. There might have been one of them crowd me fund me to get me a solicitor to get me to get me bailed out. Yeah. So yeah, and then that was it. 2 minutes to midnight, as the song goes. We stopped tuning, and that was the tune that went in the van, and that was the tune that stayed in the van for the whole of the 5 days. And then just no sleep.
Yeah. Lots of racing, lots of driving. No sleep. Yes.
I keep hearing people talk about doing like drag and drive events over here. We were originally going to do a drag and drive event back in 2014, I think it was. We'd started to put it together, me and my friend Alan. Alan Martin, who used to run the Hot Rod Drags and that. We started to do it. He'd been to Pod, he'd been to Avon Park at the time. We were starting to look at actually putting an event together and have a go at trying to do a drag and drive event. and then people started to hear about it, and also there were some other people decided that they was going to try and do one as well.
The V8 UK
yeah,
one,
the
yes.
V8 UK one, and people thought that was the event that I was trying to do, and it all sort of got muddled in together, and then in the end we ended up stepping back away from it and thought, well, let them have a go at trying to do it, because the problem is you need to organise it really early on. Then at the time it was trying to get the dates, because it was sort of Avon Park sort of held back holding their dates out till they knew what the pod was doing, and the pod was sort of doing the same. And then it was like what was going on at Melbourne or York Raceway as it was, and this is what we were trying to look at. Now there is other places that you could possibly look at running as well, sort of in Wales and sort of down in Cornwall, so it is possible to do the events. Now a lot of people keep saying, oh, but it's only like Avon Park to Santa Pod, it's only 50 mile. Yeah, if you go as the crow flies or you go that way. What you don't realise is some of the drag strips you do when you do drag week, they might only be 100 mile apart.
But you're not going
going that way.
Yeah.
You turn out the gate and you should be turning right, and Hot Rod will turn you left.
Yeah.
And then you'll drive 30 mile in totally the wrong direction, then down some farm track to go and find some statue of, I don't know, Buddha or whatever weird thing they come up with, a chicken, big white chicken or something like that, or a hamburger, whatever they've decided that looks good fun, because you have to photo that with your phone.
I was going to say,
as your checkpoint.
Sometimes you have to photo it. Other times they've got staff there to check you in, haven't they? So
now what happened? The staff aren't there checking you in.
Oh, right.
They're out and about, hiding in lanes and stuff, making sure you're not cheating.
Making sure you're not putting it on a trailer or anything.
Yeah, back in 2008, and I think it was, one of the racers got caught loading his car back into a box trailer, and his friends was driving it between. So it has gone on. So yeah, we were lost on one of the nights, and we were about 20 mile off course.
Yeah.
And Mike Finnegan had found us, and we were having a rollicking because we were totally off route, and we were about to get booted. And at the time I was with Sean Fink, and I was also with KJ. Now KJ writes for one of the Ford magazines out the same house as Hot Rod was, and all that, which was, sort of, they all ran together. And we were there having this rollicking and trying to work out if we were being kicked off because we were off the map. But then they realised the map was wrong. And then Tom Bailey went past in totally the wrong direction, totally lost as well.
Yeah.
And then this was it. Everybody was, and literally, you quite often know that you'll have the map and it'll say, go down this road, turn right. And what they meant to say was you should have turned left.
Oh.
And then you'll drive for 10 mile, and then there'll be other racers coming the other way going, your mum going the wrong way, the map's wrong. So, this has happened a few times. So, yeah, it puts it into a bit of a laugh. But yeah, you do get lost. The biggest problem I had was, if you see the maps, if Dave comes down one of the days, I'll dig one out and I'll actually show you how they work. But you will have, like, turn out the gate, turn left, follow this road for 23 mile till you come to this road, turn, follow that road east for 73 mile. Okay, fine. Got no speedo, got no compass, so didn't know that one. My headlights was like candles, so I couldn't even read the street signs, and I've got no tripometer. So I'm driving in somewhere you haven't got a clue. Now, we all know this thing, that you drive somewhere and it takes you this long, but when you come back, you seem to do it a lot quicker, even though you've gone the same miles, because you know the route. And this sort of is the problem. So you're trying to drive for 23 mile, and probably from about 15 miles, you're looking for that bloody road sign. So you're slowing down for every junction trying to look at it, as well as the cars that are broke down at the side of the road that you're trying to stop and help. Because you'd think, well, if I leave him stranded at the side of the road, when you get to the next checkpoint and then your car won't start, he ain't going to help you, because that's how the races work. And that happened to quite a few people. The word karma came up a lot. That, I know racers that left people behind, and then
it come back and bit them on the arse.
Bit them on the arse. They got stopped by the police and whatever, which we could have warned them about, but because they'd left people stranded. We didn't mention to them that there was a copper hiding down the road. So, you know, it's a bit of like...
They did do that as well, didn't they? There were places where it's got a renown for nasty coppers.
Yeah, but the problem is, Hot Rod now put the route out. So people now, when I'm sitting there with the deck chairs and that, the year I did it in 2012, the route was secret.
Yeah.
So nobody knew where they're going.
Yeah.
So you've got these little tiny sheriffs and sort of state troopers trying to work out why there's like 200 or 300 cars driving through the town,
cars as well.
On open exhaust and 2,000, 3,000 horsepower, driving through their town at 2 o'clock in the morning, looking for a petrol garage because everywhere's shut, trying to get fuel.
Yeah.
And then them all at the side of the road, under jacks and whatever, trying to fix them at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and then them starting them up and revving them. And, you know, this is like in the middle of nowhere. And this is the other thing people say, oh, well, you're all right, you're driving. If you have a problem, you can go to Pet Boys or you can get to O'Reilly's or whatever and get parts.
Not at 3 in the morning.
They're not out at 4 o'clock in the morning.
But this is what I think part of the appeal of Drag Week is. It meant the cars had to be streetable.
Yeah.
And
that's what people don't realise, you know.
And it's when you got people like Tom Bailey who've got 3,000 horsepower. What back then it would probably been 6-second car.
Yeah.
That can still do the road miles.
Yeah.
That really set the benchmark. Yeah. That was your badge of honour, that wasn't it? If you could properly drive it hundreds of miles.
Yeah. When I got back from doing the Drag Week event, the first person to ring me and thank me about it was Andy Frost. And he wanted to know about it, and we sat and chatted about it because everybody was saying, "Oh, Andy's got to go out. Hot Rod would badger him and everything." And me and Andy talked about it, and it was his car's not built to the Drag Week. To build a car to the Drag Week is a totally different car to doing a car to run 6 seconds or 5 seconds on a drag strip.
Yeah,
they are totally different cars. You can't run half the parts that you would use on a very lightweight car like Andy's got. You know, radiators, got to be way bigger.
Yeah.
Track rod ends, ball joints, way bigger. The things where you try and save on weight to get your car quick. And Andy knew this, you know, and there was all this grief going on with Andy too scared to go out and that. And, you know, I said to Andy, you're going to have to start and build your car again. You look at the cars that they're building for that event. They are bespoke cars to do Drag Week and a drag and drive event.
They ain't just pro mods with headlights.
No, they're not pro mods with headlights. You can't do it. You look at like, I'll get, most people know I get on well with Jeff Lutz. You know, I get on well with Tom Bailey. And I'll go looking at the cars. You know, I've helped on Jeff's car a couple of times. And you look at it and the setup is totally different to what you go and find a Pro Mod or whatever at Santa Pod or whatever.
Well, Pro Mods, I know the Pro Mods they have a minimum weight break, don't they?
Yeah.
So they build them down to that weight and not an ounce more.
And literally, you know, like your track rod ends are tiny.
Yeah.
Because
they wouldn't put up with potholes.
No, they're not going to handle potholes. And Hot Rod intentionally put you on the worst roads they can find. You know, I nearly hit Jeff Lutz up the backside. We were in the middle of nowhere, coming down this side of a mountain, I think is the easiest way to explain. And I'm driving down the hill, got this box in the back, you know, my van's like best part of 2 ton, and I'm on like little tiny 11-inch discs, and I'm coming down this hill, and all of a sudden I just saw this black blob in the middle of the road, and it was Jeff Lutz, and he got that matte black 57 Chevy with a black trailer on the back with no lights on because he'd lost the alternator because all his fans had packed up and he'd just dumped the water everywhere, and he's in the middle of the road, and I nearly hit him up the arse end at about, I must have been doing, 70 or 80, because we were, you know, this is probably 3 o'clock in the morning, and I should have been at the hotel probably 4 hours before or 5 hours before, but I'd been fixing other cars. And this is what people don't realise, you know, it is a very hard event, you know, but it is doable, you know.
Hundreds of people have done it.
Yeah. But a lot of people don't realise until they do it how hard it is. I didn't.
You, no.
You know, literally, I know, sleep-wise, I know during the Drag Week, from when we started on that morning to when we finished on the Friday night, even though we ended up then racing on the Saturday.
Oh, there was a rain off.
Yeah, because there was a rain off. I'd had 10 hours sleep.
A week.
In a week.
Yes.
Well, from Sunday night till the Friday,
Yeah.
I'd had 10 hours sleep, and that was it. Because, like I said, I think I got to bed about 3 o'clock on the Monday morning, and it was literally go to the vending machine and have a chocolate bar, and that was my tea on the Sunday night. Because I'd been at the track since 6 o'clock that Sunday morning to get in for registration. So I hadn't got to, I was still working on the car at 2 o'clock on the Saturday night at the hotel, fitting my new fan and everything. So Saturday night I'd only probably had 3 hours sleep.
Oh, boy.
And then it was probably, I had 3 hours sleep probably Sunday night, and then drag week started. And like I said, I had 10 hours sleep then, the whole of the week.
And yet people come from all over the world to do this, because the Aussies have a big contingent that do it, don't they? Scandinavians, and there's still a handful of Brits.
Yeah. Like I said, the hours are insane. You know, we paid $85 for a shower, basically.
So you managed to go into your hotel room, have a bath, and that was your lot. Yeah.
Well, years ago, Steve Pateman, Moose, few of us went out to Texas to watch an ADRL meeting. We'd gone to Florida, and then we'd flew over to Texas to watch this ADRL meeting. And this was at Tulsa. Now, I'd always remember, this is like an NHRA track. This is sort of, you know, this is, you see it on the telly. I've watched it over here on the telly. I can't even remember being there. I cannot even remember. It's one of these ones where the tower's 4 tier above the start line. You've got all the glass things.
Yeah.
When we went there, when it was the ADRL meeting, there was lightning going across the sky, and the flags were blowing in 4 directions around the track, and it looked like End of Days, and it was like proper horror film sort of. And so we went to this meeting, which was the second day of drag week. I can't even remember being there. I can't even remember going to the start line. I was that tired. I look back at it and think, well, I can remember the Wednesday track, I can remember the Monday track, I can remember the Thursday track, and I can remember the Friday track. But did I actually do the Tuesday? I know I have, because I've seen pictures of it, but I can't actually remember.
Witnesses.
I couldn't even tell you where I pitted or anything. I was that tired at that point, I just cannot remember.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And it's still the lure of the Drag and Drive event, if anything, has got greater.
Yeah, the drag and drive event now in America. I think there's 9 or 10 events this year.
Major events.
Yeah, major events. There's lots of little ones popping up as well, but you know, you got Rocky Mountain. Like Tom Bailey started Sick Week, which we went out to in February. I went to see. The plan was this year was go to Drag Week because it was 10 years. Yeah, officially I wanted to take my van, but that was never going to happen. But I ended up having a hernia operation done in January, and I was told that I was supposed to have like a month or 6 weeks off, resting my stomach and that. After 4 days, I was in fitting brakes on transits and things, so I decided I better have a break. And Tom had said, like, if I wanted to go out, that, you know, I could go and they could get me in and I could run with them. So
you say run with them?
Not as in basically what Tom's done, where you can't have a hire car and race, you can't still do that. But what he's allowed you to do, he's done Sick Week, and then he's got what you call Sick Ward.
Yes.
So basically you do all the stuff, so you do your checkpoints, you can stop and help cars broke down at the side of the road, as long as it's not the same car every day, because then you're classed as cheating.
Want his crew.
Yeah, you're not allowed to crew for somebody. So basically, you know, I got on with Sean Fink for ages. So I saw him on the first day, he was broke down. I guided him. I didn't actually touch the car and helped him with his problem, but intentionally didn't mess with the car because I didn't want to get him booted out.
Was this the Nova wagon he had?
Yeah, well, he got the Nova wagon, but this year he got his new car.
Right.
So yeah.
Right,
So I helped him with that, and then it was right. Okay, I'll then go and help somebody else. And I was running with a chap from New York, and this is what it's about. It's like I was running with a chap with like a Chevy pickup. Like a newish Silverado, sort of mid 90s, mid 2000s with an LS in, and I was learning on the LS, because I'm into LS stuff now, so I was learning all the LS stuff and what they're doing, and then literally I was just picking up with people I knew from the Drag Week event from 2010 that have started doing it, because it's a February meeting, there's nothing on anywhere else.
That's it. Well, it's Florida, if you don't know.
Yeah, Florida. It was done in Florida, but it was still cold. You know, it was. We landed in the mid-70s, I think it was, and by the time we went, because it was Bradenton in Florida, then we went up to Orlando, which is sort of just above Disney sort of area, sort of, you know, that sort of between Orlando and Kennedy, you know, where the shuttle went from. It's sort of in the middle between there. Then we went up to Gainesville, which I'd never been to. Then we went across to Georgia, which is the track I've always wanted to get to, because that's the Lights Out event. That's like the outlaw, drag radial, tyre car stuff, which I'm into that sort of stuff. And then it was back down to Bradenton. It was, I don't know, just 1,000 mile or something like that. So, but it was a lot easier.
And the sick ward thing, you do everything. You have the whole experience, but without the actual competition. Isn't it?
You don't race on the days because they can't run that. You got 300 cars entered for racing. So what you can do is you can step into the sick ward. Possibly racers who are in the sick ward, if cars drop out, they will then let racers in, possibly. Right, okay. Or if people say they're going to race and then they ain't got the car built in time, because that's the normal one. That, you know, I did it. You know, I spent weeks and weeks and weeks grinding heads off bolts and working out this washer weighed this much, and button heads are lighter than cap heads, and they're lighter than a 12-sided bolt, and all the other stuff. And I spent weeks doing that. And then it was like, oh crap, I've got to get my car done. So, you know, and it was literally like last minute. But you know, we've all done that.
It's good that they have a contingency against people not being able to make the event, because shit happens.
Oh yeah, definitely, you know. And thing is, like, some people, the common one is the day before, practice day, the amount of cars that fail. You go and do your registration, and then normally what happens when you do your registration, the track's open as well. So then you can get a couple of test passes in. Some people will go the day before and have the test passes. And the amount of people that I know have broke on test day, you know, we all know who Murder Nova is. I know that's what he did. He broke on the Sunday.
Wow.
And he never actually did. He was there, and he was one of the cars they were watching to be one of the top cars in the event. That's the first time I saw his Black Nova, and I thought, oh, that looks evil. And he actually broke on I think on the Sunday of registration day, and he never actually did the event.
Wow.
You know, cause, you know, and that's what people don't realise. It's a hard event from literally, you know, because people are coming from all different areas. You're at different altitudes, so your tunes change. This is what we don't have in the UK. You know, depending on where you're going, your altitudes will change. I noticed when, after we did the Drag Week thing, we carried on doing Route 66 and went to Vegas. My van wouldn't start when I was in Vegas, because Vegas is so high, I couldn't get my van to start because it had thrown the tune out that much.
Wow.
So I ended up having to put the race plugs back in that I'll never run on the road, because it was the only way I could get a spark strong enough to actually get the thing to start. And it just about started.
Wow.
And that was how I had to run it. And then when I got,
never think of over here.
It's just things you never think of.
Yes, but in this sick ward that you went, what you rented a car to?
I had a Dodge Challenger that got a bit of a wobble in the wing 2 hours after I picked it up from the airport. And there's a bit of a Honda with a wheel missing, but that's about all I'm saying.
Right, okay. So, it started well then.
Yeah. Drove halfway across America in my van and then crashed the hire car 2 hours after landing, so yeah, don't ask.
So is this to do with visibility on a Challenger?
Yeah.
Right.
These new Challengers and Camaros, trust me, when you drive one, you need to be about 7. I'm 6'2", and I can hardly see when I'm sitting in one because the door's here at the side of your head. You know, so you can't see a lot, and then they've got big headrests in the back window, and they've got a wicked blind spot. So be warned, if you're buying a Challenger or a new Camaro, and a little mirror, drive one before you actually buy one, because you might be surprised you can't see a fat lot. I think I can see more in my van out the side than I can in a Challenger.
But you still followed the sick ward all the way around. I know there are a couple of Brits out there. I know Ken, who's in with the Hot Rod Gazette lot. Graham and Rachel.
Yeah, Graham and Rachel from
Yeah,
Cirque.
yeah.
Yeah, Alan Williamson and
Yeah,
June were there. I didn't tell any of them I was there. You see again. Because this was the thing, back in 2012, I told nobody. Some people will know. Al Williamson, who runs the Street Eliminator, his unit was actually next door to my unit. And I managed to keep secret that my van had actually gone on the ship, gone to America.
About 6 weeks before.
Yeah, he didn't notice that the van was missing out the workshop, and I never actually told him I was going. And then all of a sudden there was a photos of me at Drag Week, and Al knew I'd gone out to America, and he knew I'd gone to a race meeting, and he thought I was going to crew for somebody.
Right.
What he didn't actually know was I was actually crewing for myself. So this year Alan had been telling me all about this sick week event that was going on, Tom Bailey was doing, and he was going out with June and everything. But somebody forgot to tell him that somebody else was going out as well. So yeah, I think I bumped into Damien, I think, on the Saturday night, walking around Old Town, and I went, "You haven't seen me?" And he went, "No, I know all about it. No, I haven't seen you." And then, the next day, I think I was in the pits. I think I was talking to Tom Bailey at the time, and a couple of people went, "Al's just heard that you're here. He's going to kill you when he sees you." So, because you hadn't told him again. So I'm quite good at hiding it.
There we go.
To be honest, I did it in 2012. I hid it in 2012 because I knew there was, I think the Rolls Royce was going to go out that year as well, that black and red Rolls Royce, and they were struggling to get out, and it was so much hassle. We were at the docks at 7 o'clock on the morning arguing with the captain of the ship because the box that was in the back of my van, because it was a roll on roll off, they weren't going to ship me box. Now that was the last ship to America that I would have got there in time to do the event.
Yeah.
Now I also know back, I don't know what year it was, I think it's probably 2008, something like that. The 69 Camaro that Billy owns from Top Speed, that went out to Orlando to do the World Street Nationals.
Right,
I don't know who owned it at the time. It wasn't Billy, I don't think. I think it was Billy's car. And then it ended up going out there, and it got stuck in customs for the whole of the event. Oh. And on the Monday they released it because they shipped it into Miami. Yeah. And it's the worst port ever to ship a car into.
Right,
Do not ship into Miami if you want to ship a car to America, because it takes years to get it through.
Right, okay.
And that's what happened. And then it ended up then at American Motorsport for ages. It was sitting there. I think they actually put it up for sale for a bit. And then in the end, it ended up coming back again. Yeah. And I don't know if that's when Billy bought it or what. But I know it got shipped out there to do what was at Orlando World Street Nationals. Yeah. And then it never did it because of this thing. So, and we had the same problems. I got to the port to pick my van up. It wasn't in the port they said it was. It was 10 miles down the road in a different port.
Wow.
Yeah, so,
I bet your arse was giving it a bit of that, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then, when we came to ship it home, I was on my way home when they told me they weren't going to ship it home because the box was in the back again, and it was stranded it was stranded in California, and they were refusing to ship it home. Right. So trust me, it ain't straightforward doing it. And then I had the $64,000 fine because they still thought it was in America, because somebody forgot to put the paperwork in to say it had actually gone back to the UK.
Oh, so you got busted for what? Importing and dodging import duties?
Yeah, basically, So I was on to the US Embassy, and I was sending photos of it racing at Santa Pod and Avon Park, but they wouldn't believe me. So I was waiting for Dog the Bounty Hunter to come and fetch me. Was the way I always explain it. And to be honest, even now when I fly over, I'm still dubious that I'm going to get arrested for tax evasion.
They're going to be waiting for you in arrival.
I'm going to have one of them nice, I like slip knots, so I don't mind them orange suits, but I don't fancy
the fellas in dark glasses who keep talking up their sleeves.
Yeah, that's it, so it's a bit of a...
Happy days.
But now, like, the drag and drive events in the States, are good fun. It's a brilliant way to meet people. But like I said, the way Tom's done the event, just to be able to follow, even like, you know, if you can't get in the sick ward, everybody's that friendly, you can still do it. You just get a car and just follow along. Really,
follower.
To be honest, the sick ward thing, they were putting food on for you, so you had these little like roulette chips with sick ward on.
Oh, wow.
And basically you handed them in and you had a free meal or whatever, and that was what you got in the sick ward. Wow. And it was quite good.
Yeah, that sounds great.
I've still got all my chips. Because I paid for my food because I wanted to keep the sick ward chips. Because they're nice. They've got these little green chips with sick ward on.
Yeah.
And the picture of the sick event.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you got to keep them. You can't run them.
One,
no, keep all. I've got the set.
Oh, bloody hell.
Yeah, so we kept the set, so we just paid for the food. But no, like I said, I wasn't bothered on that. It is, you know, you're going out there, and you know, I had to buy me t-shirts, and
of course, yeah.
You know, and came back with a few car parts, as we all do.
Yeah. But that's the thing, is that, I mean, this whole sick week and whatnot is the brainchild of Tom Bailey, who's a veteran of many years of drag week and whatnot.
Yeah, I think he started it 2000. I think he started 2010. I think he did his first event.
Yeah, and he's been one of the key players in that ever since. And now he's doing Sick Week and Sick Magazine.
Yeah.
And he's a brave man to be launching a magazine right about now.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I sort of, you know, like I said, I've read Hot Rod since I was 13, I think. At the start of lockdown, Hot Rod magazine stopped over here. I couldn't get it. I know people who got it on subscription, they had the money sent back and that. When I went over in February to get a Hot Rod magazine, can't find it on the shelves. I actually spoke to Mike Finnegan from Hot Rod about it, and they're the same as what's gone on over here. The magazines have just gone down and down and down. You know, I lost my Carcraft I used to read, my Street Rodder, Rod and Custom, all the things that we've all read over the years have all ceased to, they've either gone online and actually to try and pick a mag up. I ended up coming back with 3 Hot Rod magazines that one of my friends had bought because he knew I was going to for me.
Yeah.
I looked in every Pet Boys, I looked in every Walmart, everywhere, trying to find Hot Rod on a shelf. Couldn't find it no more.
That's crazy.
So, you know, you've gone from like, you know, a massive magazine has just gone that way.
I mean, last time I looked, he went into last time I was over there, he looked in a newsagent's and there was 2 meters of car magazines.
Yeah.
And that just seems to have gone by the wayside.
Yeah. There's so many magazines got, you know, like it has over here now, to be honest, you know, it's exactly the same. And this is what Tom noticed, you know, like, I'll sit here at work, I'm working my way back through, I don't know, GMI performance magazines at the moment. I've got a load of them and I've been sitting reading them because doing some LS stuff, so I've been reading them and looking into bits and bobs and just reading. I'll sit there, I've got biscuit in this hand, cup of tea in this hand and a magazine in my lap, and that's sort of a normal day. I don't mind looking at things on my phone, but it's a bit small sometimes, and you got all these bloody adverts all the while and that. You got a magazine and there's an advert, you just flick past it unless it's an advert you actually want to have a look at.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's like, oh
print.
yeah. But like I say, I just find I like the old magazine, same as like reading a book as well. You know, I don't read very well except for car-related things, but yeah.
Well, this is the thing, is that Sick Magazine, Tom has put a lot of effort into the quality of the thing. It's more like a part-work book than a...
Yeah.
Because, I mean, things like Hot Rod were printed on absolute lavatory paper, weren't they?
Yeah.
Sick Magazine is a quality piece.
Sick Mag is, you know, the photo, you know, they're good enough that you can cut them out and put them in a picture frame. No problem at all. The quality of the picture and the printing is phenomenally good. And that's what I think Tom's tried to do, that they're like a collectible magazine, if you know what I mean. They're like a collectible thing.
Yeah, some people have encyclopedias.
That's it. Like the Sick one. You know, I missed the first edition and I can't get a first edition.
Wow.
And I've asked Tom if he'll print a load of new first edition and he won't. And it's like, there's so many people that haven't got the first edition because he didn't know how many to do, so he only did this many and it sold out straight away before I even had a chance to bloody get one. And nobody will let you have one. Nobody will sell you one.
Nobody will part with one.
No, that's it. So this is what's gone on. But yeah, I've got all the ones now. I've got a couple signed as well. When I went out in February, I got them signed. It was walking round and bumping into people who I knew they signed this. So I got a few signatures.
Cool. Yeah.
So yeah, to make it, but yeah.
Well, that's it, and they've just announced the dates for next year's Sick Week, and I mean, it's back in Florida, isn't it?
Yeah, it's back in,
February.
because of the time of year when it is, it's only really the only place you could probably do it.
Reliably do it, yeah.
We went up to Georgia on the Thursday, and it was icy.
Whoa.
Yeah,
okay.
you got ice on the ground, and we landed 78 degrees. 3 days later, I'm in hoodies and jumpers, and there's frost on the ground.
Yeah.
And it's proper cold.
Yes.
And that was, and really, if you look at it, where we was in Georgia was only literally 20 mile across the border or something like that. Right. You're only just in Georgia.
Yeah.
You're probably level with Gainesville, really, and they're in a lot in it, height-wise. So, but yeah, the weather just went that bad.
Crikey.
And then it was like that in Florida then for 2 or 3 days as well. When you got down to Bradenton and that way, because you're quite a bit further down.
Yeah.
Probably 200 mile lower.
Yeah.
It was a bit better then, and then the weather temperature did actually warm up a little bit, and we had a few sunny days, and I actually came back with a suntan. But it was literally the last couple of days.
Right. And were there any serious players in Sick Week? Because I mean, I know people take Drag Week very, very seriously, especially when you got the likes of Lux Last and Tom Bailey at the top level. Do people take Sick Week as seriously, or is it more of
I think there was quite a few people who came out to do the Sick Week event, who used to do the Drag Week event.
Yeah.
But sort of, I think they got bored of it, or it just became
hard work.
Yeah, a little bit hard work. And they came out and did Tom's event, who hadn't done Drag Week for quite a few years.
Yeah.
The problem with Drag Week as well is now there's so many people want to do it. You're literally like, okay, registration's open, registration's closed.
Yeah.
It is that quick. You're talking minutes.
Yeah.
I can't press the keys fast enough. You can't. You've got to know what you're doing to log on. I've got that many friends that do the event and have done it well and do it they can't get in.
Yeah.
And then, to be honest, when they can't get in, they sort of lose the way a little bit with it and can't be bothered. So it is a pain, it is a problem. But I think now, because you've got maybe 6 events, maybe 7 events, sort of biggish ones, and then there's probably another 3 or 4 smaller ones which are growing. Now there's probably like a 10, maybe nearly a dozen events going on in different places. You can get to that one, you can do that. Problem is you've got to lose a week off work.
Yes, that's assuming you're on the doorstep.
Yeah.
Even more if you've got to travel.
Yeah. A lot of people in America only have 2 weeks holiday a year.
Yeah.
That's what people don't realise over here. We have 4, roughly, unless you're self-employed like me, and then you don't have any. But most people have 4 weeks of holiday. Now the problem is if you're doing a Drag Week event, we're on. You have to get there maybe the Saturday or whatever before, ready for registration very early on the Sunday morning, and then the event finishes normally on the Friday. You've got the risk of it get rain, so possibly you need to hang around on the Saturday.
Postponement day.
Yeah. And then Sunday you got to drive home, and then you're back in work on Monday, which is okay if you live in Britain and it ain't very big. But when you're doing an event in Florida, and you've come from California and Canada,
That's when you type it in the sat nav and it says your journey will take you 1 day and 18 hours or something. Oh, right. Okay.
Sean, who I get on well with from Wyoming, it's like a 28-hour drive or something like that.
And that was 28 hours solid.
Yeah, solid. Yeah. And then literally drive, stop fuel, son will drive till he gets tired, Sean will have a kip while his son drives, and this is what they do. And that's how they do it. And I couldn't do it. I really couldn't do it.
No.
Hats off to them, especially after you've just drove 1,000 miles and not slept much as well. This is what people don't realise. You've got to give up a lot of time, plus all the prep time you need on your car, and then what happens if you break it in the middle of nowhere? You could be, you could be 500-600 mile away from where your recovery vehicle is. So then you've got to work out how to get from where you am back to your support vehicle.
It's a long ride in an Uber, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. So, it's...
And yet people are queuing up to do it, and people are loving it.
Yeah. Oh,
It is the new big thing, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, people have probably noticed, I did the drag week thing. I think I've been to Santa Pod 3 times or 4 times since.
Wow.
It's killed it for me, being straight with everybody. It's like...
Oh, it spoiled you for...
Yeah, totally spoiled me, totally. Yeah, it's sort of... And also, like, you're going out and watching 5-second passes in streetcars, because that was, it's like, with the year I was there, it was like, Lutzi did 212 mile an hour. Larson was in the 5s. And then, you go and watch them sort of speeds, and, this is what, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And then I was coming back to the UK and watching stuff, and it's just like, we just didn't cut it no more. And it's like, a bit like, when we used to get to the World Street Nationals and it was no wheelie bars and it was outlaw, everything goes. And, that, not being funny, that's where I met Steve Morris. That was the first place I met Steve Morris.
Yeah.
That was where I met Jeff Lutz. Yeah. They're all big time racers that have done stuff for years.
Yeah.
But they enjoy doing these events because they're fun. And like I said, where else can you go? And, you can be driving down the road and then 10 minutes later, your hero, you're bent over the bonnet of his car. I better word this right. Fix it. Helping him fix the fans and put water back in his car. And this is a bloke who I've watched at Orlando for years. I've gone over and can I buy a t-shirt? And that's as much as I spoke to him. And then the next thing I know, he's sort of saying to me, "Can you help me with my fans tomorrow and sort my wiring out?" And I'm like, and that's the style of
no problem.
That's the style of the event. I'll pull all the wiring out my car. You can have all of it. And I'll push mine out.
That's it. Yeah.
This is but this is what was going on. It's sort of it's like I talk about it now, and you think but I watched Street Outlaws the other night, and Lutzi's on and Larson's on, and they hate each other, and I'm good mates with the pair of them.
Do they? There's a rivalry. I know that.
No, there's
beef.
Yeah, there is a beef between them, but it is what it is. But that happens with all racers. I think when you're at that level, there is. But there's a lot of. I think things put on for telly, but that's telly. We all, anybody who knows anything about telly.
Yes, reality TV is not.
It's not reality. Yeah. Trust me, I can tell you that one.
And so you were in the van. It was the first sick week this year, wasn't it? Like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And I know, like I say, a handful of Brits did go out, and I think they've been spreading the word. And
I think there's trying to think. I think there was 18 of us, something like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite the old days of Orlando where I think there was 52 of us one year at the old Street Nationals. But I got a feeling it might be the new bit of the holiday to go, especially
the
like
off-season event for the Brits.
Over here, cold, very cold, and possibly snow.
Yeah.
Florida, sunny. Come back with a load of car parts.
Yeah.
And meet a load of racers.
I think it's going to be that at the end of the season, Malta. Before the beginning of the next season, sick week in Florida. And it is going to be the next sort of big British contingent trip, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think I think it would be nice if they could put it on a little bit later in the February, because the weather does get that little bit better then. But like Tom's got his commitments with other stuff, and the problem now is as well, there's so many other drag and drive events cropping up. They're all fighting for weeks to do it.
Of course,
Because
there's only so many weekends in a year.
There's only so many races. They've only got so many weeks off. And there's only so many weekends they can actually put the events on. Because what you got to think is, if you're doing that event, it's not just Monday to Friday. It's the weekend before and it's the weekend after.
Not to mention however much prep you have to do before.
And prep and whatever. And then it's like this year, I think there was 2 back-to-back this year.
Wow.
Yeah, Rocky Mountain and Midwest Drags, I think.
Yeah.
They were literally same weekends. I know Alex Taylor did it and that, I think, and a few others, and literally it was the one, and then the following weekend they were at the other one.
Wow.
You know, and I'm like,
Oh, nice work if you can get it, hey?
Yeah, you know, well, yeah, you need some serious funds as well to be able to do that. Yeah, but you know, so you know, them good events to do. You know, if we could do one. Problem is now we've only got one proper true drag strip.
Well, we've only got 1/4 mile, yeah.
Yeah, 1/4 mile. We got the 1/8 mile. You know, I have looked at it and I have thought about it and tried to come up with how to do it. I did, you know, I was chatting to James about it, doing like maybe 4 corners. So you went maybe Scotland, over to the East Coast, over to Wales, and then maybe Cornwall.
Yeah.
But then you rotate it, you know, going back to the pod. It's just trying to get other stuff set up. It's like, you know, you got Lambarda in Wales, which would be great if you could do that event. But the problem is, there's only going to be half a few. There ain't going to be, I can't see, you ain't going to get a 300 car field over here.
Oh, good God, no.
Nowhere near. And this is a problem. You've got to pay for crews, you've got to pay for track prep, and all the other things going on. This is why I'd been looking at dates, trying to, you know, I'd like to do an event over here. You know, I've spoke to people about it. Like I said, we did try to do it once. But you've got to do it when there's other events on. Now, the problem is, to do a 4-day event at Santa Pod is a very rare event.
Yeah.
Where it can actually be done as a run what you brung event, because that's what you need. You can't do it during a pro meeting.
Yeah.
And then also, you've got the problem of you're leaving the track, you're coming back. If it's a pro meeting with scrutineering and all that, that ain't going to happen. Run what you brung meeting, not scrutineering, so you can get away with it. But then you've got to look at an event where maybe you've got Santa Pod, got York, possibly, what's the one, Cornwall one? The Dakota on, and then possibly the one in Wacky. You know, you're not gonna, I can't see you getting all of them on. The only thing I'd looked at is possibly you could get Friday at the pod, and maybe they've got a peak performance day on a Monday.
That's it, yeah.
Where you could get a 4-day one. But you know, to actually try and set it up, we've looked at doing it with maybe a drag event, maybe get to a hill climb or some other event, Mallory Park, something like that, and try and do it that way. But the problem then is most of the drag racers' cars aren't set up for going round corners.
That's it.
So a lot of the big boys who you'd like to have on the events, the street eliminator ones, I don't think they would come to do the event then.
Well, I was going to say, timed around Mallory Park. I think that would be a big ask of a car that's set up to run 6-second corners.
Well, yeah, you know, this is the, you know, this is a problem. You know, I've started doing a bit of hill climbing with a van, and that, and the setup on the van is totally different to how I run it on the drag strip. And you know, it's tyres, wheels, brakes, everything has to be twiddled around with suspension, and it, you know, and I mess it up, and then it takes me age. You know, we took it to the drag strip, and I couldn't get it to bloody launch after that. You know, because I forgot all the settings. You know, all right, should have had a little book and write it down, but everything had changed because of the hill climb stuff.
Yeah.
So it's hard to do. You know, like I hope we can do one over here, but you know how we're gonna do it, I don't know. You know, sort of. I know Santa Pod have mentioned trying to do something.
They tried to do it. Was it last year? And then I think COVID got in the way, as it did with so many things.
Yeah, you know, like I said, I'd like to do it, and I think.
Well, I was delighted at the fact that Santa Pod and Melbourne were finally cooperating.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Like you said, you know, you can possibly do, you know, you could do it as an 8th mile event, which would help. Yeah. So you could do 8th mile at the pod, 8 mile at York.
Yep.
So that would work, and then back to your pod. But you could do with really you need to do 3 or 4 tracks.
Yeah.
Sensibly. But then the problem is they all do it during the week.
It'd have to be, yeah.
So your problem there is you got 300 entries. You got 300 entries paying, I don't know, I can't think what it was when I did it now. $150, something like that, to enter Drag Week.
Yeah.
I think it was when I did it. It's probably, I don't know, $250 now to do it. But you got 300 people in it. So it earns quite a bit of money.
Yeah.
In respect of paying the crews.
Yes.
Now, what a lot of people don't realise is, you're in the stands, most of the people in the stands are only the racers watching the racing. these events don't get massive amounts of crowds.
Well, if they're midweek.
Friday afternoon, possibly on the last day,
Yeah.
you get a bit of a crowd in. You get a few people, you know, they'll book a day off because they know the event's coming to their town now. So there are some people there, but not loads. So you're not going to pull loads of gate money
It's not
doing
bums
it.
on seats.
No.
Yeah.
So during the week, it doesn't earn any money. So the only way I think we can do it over here is when you got Run What You Brung events on, and you can get basically have a time slot that people come in and do your run, and maybe you have a couple of time slots, because this is how it works for like the drag week events. They'll run the fast cars first thing in the morning when they got the good full prep track.
Yeah.
And they will run them for 2 hours, the upper fast classes.
Yeah.
Then you have like your daily driver class or your street eliminator class, as they now call the drag week daily driver class. But it's a lot slower cars than our street eliminators, most of them. But all your quick classes will be running that first 2 hours.
Yes.
Then you have 2 hours of the daily driver cars, which normally is 50% of the event, maybe a little bit less because I've been trying to get them to go into other classes. And then it's then open lanes.
Yeah.
And that normally lasts for an hour or hour and a half. So the lanes are only really open for like 5.5 hours. They'll open at sort of like 8 o'clock in the morning, and by about 1 o'clock, 1:30, they're trying to shut the lanes down so everybody can get on the road, on the idea that you've got to do 100 mile or 200 mile.
Yeah.
You've got a 4 to 5 hour drive. Yeah, and you're still at the track at 7 o'clock at night putting your car back together because it's still broke. It's pitch black, and then everybody's gone, and you're like on your own, and you don't even know where you are, and you've got to drive 220 mile to somewhere you don't even know where it is off a funny little map, which is what happened.
Which may be wrong.
Yeah. So, but
boy.
you know, I hope we can do something over here. You know,
would be
I'm
nice.
interested in, you know, I'll try and help and guide as much as you can. And like I say, people keep getting wrong. The amount of people that have said to me, oh, but there isn't enough distance between the tracks. There is, because like when we were looked at doing it, we were on about going out to Santa Pod, over the Severn Bridge, and then coming back into Avon Park through like Middle Lower Wales.
Yeah.
And that was the route we were looking at doing. That was
on
what,
the other
yeah.
hand, if you say that, people will go, oh, but the fuel will be too expensive.
Well, this is the problem.
And yeah, I know
Yeah.
fuel ain't cheap. but
Yes,
there's-
no, fuel ain't cheap. This
there's no
is the
getting
problem.
away from that, though.
This is the problem we've got with how you do it. You know, and this is where I thought, can you do maybe one from Santa Pod, and just for the first one, you just do it to a few checkpoints. So maybe, you know, like you said, you go, like I said, you go over and you see. You go and bring a bucket of sand back from, you know, over on the east coast or something.
That's it.
You know, you get to Wales and you've got to come back from something with like a Welsh flag or something like that you've got to find somewhere in.
A sheep.
yeah, bring a sheep back or some wellies with a hole in the front. Yeah, that's it. And then maybe, I don't know, you got to go, you know. I don't know if the Scotland one would be too far, I think. You know, I think that would make the mileage too far.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
possibly go up north or something like that and come back with, I don't know, sort of...
The black pudding, yes.
Yes, you know, something that you can only get there, and then maybe then, you know, get to Cornwall and come back with a Cornish pasty or something like that. Yeah, but that's sort of how the drag week event works. You have to go to these checkpoints, and you have to then take a photo of you there, you know, to prove you park your car by whatever they say the checkpoint. You have to have the checkpoint there and your car in that picture.
Yes. I like that. That would
And you know that works. You know, it's sort of, you know, I don't know. You could go, say, from sort of, I don't know, Santa Pod over to, say, Worcester, and you've got to have a photo of the cathedral in the background.
Yeah.
And then go back, and then back to the pod, something like that. Which, you know, and what people don't realise is you don't use motorways. It's
if you're following the hot rod
if
route.
you're following the hot
Yeah.
rod route, they don't put you on motor. We did on the very last night, but that was a 400 and something mile drive on the last night. So yeah,
a bit of interstate would probably be a good idea. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, that was the only time we did it. I think that, well, it was just shy 380 odd mile I did on the last night, which I don't think I've ever drove 380 mile in my life.
In one hit.
In one hit.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, that was hard
That's
work.
a proper test.
Yeah, that was hard work, especially after you've been racing all week and you had no sleep. But yeah, that was, and it was raining cats and dogs. So that was the other thing as well.
The driving bit doesn't get rained off. If you're on monster, treads, then you're gonna be in the stuff.
Mike Finnegan was in with Jeff Lutz at the time in his car, passenger in with him, and it
okay.
was absolutely howling down. And they actually found a petrol station, and they actually slept in the petrol station for a few hours while the rain passed over.
Yeah.
Because from what Mike said to me, they were doing 3 mile an hour sideways in the rain because they were on drag sort of street legal tyres.
Is that the ones with the treads drawn on with a magic marker?
Yeah, that's it. They were on them. So yeah, and this is your problem as well. You know, we're trying to do the event over here with our weather.
Yeah.
If you're out on a drag radial or something like that, which you know a lot of street eliminator boys are all running now, it rains.
Bring things to a halt.
Yeah, well, I know when we did it, it rained. I can't think who it was now. Lost the trailer. They literally threw their trailer across the road. And the contents of their trailer was across the road.
Oh, wow.
We found a Pinto in a ditch. And he ended up following me back, driving on my back lights because he couldn't actually see because of his... Don't think it's American, most of them don't have wipers on the car. Yeah. So yeah, he was struggling to see. So he was actually trailing my backlights, which if you've ever seen the backlights on my van, they're not the brightest. They're not the brightest
like
to candle.
Red lit fart.
Yeah, that's it. 2 little LEDs, I think, is probably how they are.
Oh boy.
But yeah, so it's well, see what happens. But yeah, if anybody wants to go and do the 6 week event, like in February, it's worth doing.
Definitely worth doing.
And you can have a few days, sort of at Universal or whatever. Just don't go on Valentine's Day like we did. Because it's $50 extra per person, because it's Valentine's Day.
Really? At Universal?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go, you heard it here first.
Yeah. So we went out on some jet hydroplanes instead on a big lake.
Nice.
So there's always something fun to play on.
I'm having that. Yes, that sounds like a lot more fun. Yeah. Right, well now I've kept you yapping for well over an hour.
Yeah, it's me, it's like I'll just rabbit till the world.
I've pulled the string in his back.
Yeah, that's it. I think it was light when we started, and now it's gone dark.
Dark? It's now Wednesday.
As you're supposed to be in bed, you said to be at 9 o'clock, and it's now
22. And
20 to 9, and you've got a 40-minute drive. You might as well stop outside in the camper.
Well, I was going to say I'm here in the van. I could just sleep in that. Yeah. Right. So on that note. Thank you very, very much, Mick.
Yeah, no.
It's been jolly good to hear from you.
Anybody wants to know, anybody just ring me at work if anybody wants to know about it. If I'm stupid enough and you want to ship a car to America and you want to know how to do it, I'll guide you and I'll gear the girl who sorts my stuff out. So she's done stuff for Guy Martin and other stuff. So if you do really want to have a go, but trust me, you need extremely deep pockets nowadays.
And your eyes wide open as to how much effort it's going to be when you're out there.
Yeah. Like I said, before you even think of shipping a car, find somebody to insure you to do it.
Yes.
Because it's really, really hard. I've got a couple of numbers I can give you who might be interested, but if you've got something that's not American, you're really struggling.
Or that the Americans don't recognise.
If they don't recognise something. I know people have done it with MGBs and they've done it as a club and that.
That's what I mean.
And it's okay, they can do that. But you're trying to do it on your own.
On a Bedford HA.
Trying to do it on your own is just like really a no-go. I had insurance, loosely if you want to put it that way, but I wouldn't really have wanted to have to use it.
Well, I was going to say, Drag Week 2022 is, what's today, August the 23rd?
It's less than 3 weeks away. Yeah.
So it's less than 3 weeks, so forget it. For this
so if I get the lottery up tonight...
you can charter a cargo
I'll
plane.
Get me a plane, and you know where I'll be because the van's ready. If not...
That's it. Yeah, so don't be thinking about doing it this year. Maybe next. I mean, if you want to do it next year, you need to start planning now. And like you say, when
you needed to be planning 12. The problem is you can't plan until you know you're in. But we booked our hotels 12 months. As soon as the route is put out, you then find the hotels and you book your hotels. This is like weeks and months before you even get to the point of registration opening. Because if you don't book your bloody hotels, you won't get one.
Yeah. And that's when you booked them all. That's when you find out that you didn't get in at registration.
Sick week. We were 50 mile away at sick week at some of the hotels just to try and like, and also the price. Bradington is like crazy money expensive. With the way we did it, I actually like sick week this year was 1,000 mile. Me and Deb did sick week in our hire car. We did 1,480 mile.
And that's just from dodging back to hotels?
Yeah, because what happened, we found a hotel up in Orlando, and we were going back to Bradington and back, and then we went Orlando and then back to the hotel. We then went up to Gainesville. We stayed in a hotel up there, did the Georgia one up there, and then we drove down, and then the long run, the 400-mile run on the last one, a lot of them stopped in the area near Don Garlitz's museum because there was a big party at Don Garlitz's museum. We carried on and drove like another 60 mile back down to Orlando because we'd stopped in Kissimmee in one of these Disney hotels because it was cheap. And then the next day we drove down to Bradington again. And when we actually worked out what we'd done about 480 mile more than everybody else because we were going backwards and forwards. But at the time the fuel was so cheap and hotels were so expensive down in like Bradington and that because of where you are. You're getting down close to Miami.
Of course,
They were quite expensive. So that's what we were doing. So I like it a bit more extreme.
So there you go. That's a hint if you're thinking of doing Sick Week 2023. So if you do fancy it, 2 seconds on Google will tell you all about Sick the magazine, Sick Week, Sick Ward, and a load of other sick. And it's well worth doing it if you fancy a nice sort of winter week away.
Yeah, but that's it, it's like over here in the cold or go over there and,
In your t-shirt.
It's just catching your flights right as well. We were looking for prices. If you're gonna go, try and fly on a Tuesday or a Wednesday if you're gonna go. Thursday, Friday, the prices really start to skyrocket up because we were looking to only get for like 7 days or whatever, the way we were trying to work it, or maybe 10. In the end, we ended up doing the 14 because it actually worked out cheaper. So if you are looking, and also a little tip, if you are gonna go, fly into Tampa instead of Orlando. Because we've been into Orlando and by the time you've landed, got off the plane, found your suitcases, got to the hire car, we were landed in Tampa, got the suitcases, got the hire car in less than an hour.
Wow.
And I'd probably virtually drove back to Kissimmee by the time I would have got out of Orlando International.
Right, okay.
So,
and another top tip.
That saved me, I think that was nearly $100 a flight each. That saved us as well.
That's cool.
Doing that. And then also, like I said, by flying on the Wednesday instead of the Thursday, I think that was another $150 each we managed to save. So, like I said, that was $500 we managed to save, best part of, I think, just by going a day earlier and flying into, like I said, flying into Tampa. If I'm going to Orlando now, I'm going into Tampa. It's just, I flew into Orlando, I flew into Sanford, or I think it's Sanford, whatever,
Something like
that. That one, I flew into most of them. Miami, no, just don't want to fly into Miami. And but that is a bit of advice for you. That's a good one to fly into. Because like I said, even though their fuel is $5.50 or $6 at the moment for a gallon, 4 litre gallon, LA, I've just spoke to my mate, it was $7. Good God. So it's breaking their pockets by ours. That's what you'll see is it's worth doing it because, like I said, we drove from there to our hotel, which was in Kissimmee, which I think was 73 miles, something like that. But I worked out I was doing it on $10 worth of fuel. So Challenger was alright, actually, not too bad.
Right, okay.
Couldn't get a Hellcat, they got one now. Got a Challenger RT with a bit of a dent in the wing.
It has now. Oh boy. let's leave it there. Right. So thank you very much. Cheers very much, Mick.
See you again.
Ta-da.